first ball, their first uniform, their first number, their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
Hey, give me some of it. Okay, all right, I'm going. The Journey, the Tilton Girls, take one.
My favorite moments ever as a father was the moment she made the A-team.
They would always push me and my friends as well.
Their authenticity and integrity that they were able to do everything with.
I still struggle with a little bit, just like the confidence, like knowing that I'm in a different environment.
I could not be more proud of you, Justice, and of you, Remini.
It's gonna be a roast here.
No, it's not a roast.
Ocean, and it was hard. Don't tell anybody that.
And action.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. We help players develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills, receiving and finishing from different situations such as volleys, headers, one touch, and off the dribble, with and without pressure. In addition, we help players increase their speed of play, dominate with their off-the-ball movement, awareness of space, defenders, and teammates. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, as well as large groups and team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country. We've also developed one of the most detail-oriented training programs to help out players. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. For more information, visit our website, evolutionperformancetraining.com, or text or call 248-818-3943.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75. Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
We like to do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club.
Join today, starting at just $24.99 a month.
Are you looking to grow here in 2023? Let the Michigan Soccer Network help you and your restaurant fill more seats. Help you and your law firm get new clients. Help you and your dental practice find more patients. Find more roofing customers for this upcoming summer. And to help you and your medical practice find new patients. To learn more or get started, visit MichiganSoccerNetwork.com.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Base Camp Fitness Troy opening up this March will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Base Camp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Back to Vitriol. He'll take a shot and he'll bear it. And then he'll fire it from Billows and it'll go in. Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in. Oh, and both goals so far. He'll fire one, and that's a wonderful save, Killerney. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone in the... He'll fire one now from distance, and that is in. What a strike by Ben Maher. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into MSN Weekly. We're live here in our Premier Sports Center studio, Shelby Township, Michigan. John Turner, that's Dan Stickrat. You know him, but you don't know this guy. Well, maybe you do. Neal Ruhl here joins us in studio here today. First time ever, and we're excited to have you, Neal.
Oh, it's good to be here, too. I appreciate the invite, Jonathan. Good to see you, too, again, Stickrat.
Yes.
Well, go way back. Way back.
Just a couple years.
No, but it's good to be here, man. I love the facility. I love what you guys got going on here, so I'm happy to be here. Let's talk some soccer, shall we?
Yeah, your mic is not picking up sound.
What that's all about.
We'll figure that out in a second here, but for some reason the sound is not coming, but I'll get that going here in a moment. Some housekeeping things here real quick that we like to do here is we're located at Premier Sports Center Studio in Shelby Township, Michigan. We are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn as well. So there's 5 platforms that we're on, so you can watch us at any one of those locations. And reminder that will be available on all listening platforms here sometime tomorrow morning. So that will be available and whatnot. So, but what I got to do first here, for some reason, my microphone is not being picked up here with Mr. Neal Ruhl. So we're going to get that figured out real quick. So Dan, go ahead and maybe ask your first question.
Well, we'll talk about the with all sports, you know, color play-by-play and color people. Talk about some of those catchphrases you come up with over the years.
Oh yeah, those. That's always a pretty common question that I get, and like a lot of people, you know, the of course and stuff like that. Kind of the backstory to that, and I know like a lot of times in this business, people say, I don't know, like they say, well, I have to come up with a catchphrase or something like that because everyone seems to have one. Mine are like rooted in things that actually happened in my life. So the of course one, actually, there is a backstory to it. I was going into my first game as a voice of the Golden Grizzlies. We're playing at North Carolina, of all places, and I'll never forget. My boss at the time at Oakland, Scott McDonald, he and I were roommates on the road. And, you know, with him kind of being my boss, he was big into like self-help books and you know, motivational books and stuff like that. So he would kind of require the staff to read books. And, you know, I'm not a huge like reader. So I would, you know, get the books on the phone and play it over the car when I was driving and stuff like that. And one of the guys I kind of got on was Jim Rohn. I don't know if a lot of people know Jim Rohn out there, but he's got a very distinct voice, and he did all of his books. And he would always ask you questions in the books. He'd say, well, would you rather be rich or would you rather be poor? Well, of course, you'd rather be rich. And so we had at the time, we had Travis Bader, who would go on to set the all-time NCAA three-point record, break J.J. Redick's record for threes. And I was sitting there with Scott before the game. I was like, Scott, what do you think if when Bader makes a three-point shot, I'll say, of course, because we knew it was going to happen, right? Because he's a great three-point shooter. And I said, I'm going to try it, and we'll see what happens. And the game happens, and Bader makes a three, and I said, Travis Bader, three, of course. And got a couple tweets right away. They were like, that was pretty cool. And that was it. And from there on out, whenever I would do it, people seemed to like it, so I kept doing it. And when it's something that I found that it translates to soccer. It really plays well in soccer. Like when your 9 scores the goal. I mean, of course it was Ronaldo. Of course, and it's something that really works with soccer. And then, Tyrone Mundy and then that huge goal that happened at Detroit City where they won the regional championship really kind of took on a life of its own after that. But, I mean, of course it was Tyrone Mundy. The guy scored all the time. He had a hat trick in like 40 minutes, leading up to that match. So it was something that just kind of ran wild. I've had to sign pictures where people want me to write, of course, on there for like wedding gifts. Like Detroit City fans have done that. Cool. So yeah, so it's pretty cool, and it's something that I guess I kind of got known for now.
Yeah, and everyone has one. We're getting in the NCAA tournament right now for men's and women's basketball, hockey starting. We got the NBA and NHL playoffs start next month. But anyone who listens on the radio or watches on TV notices that just about everybody has a handful of catchphrases. At the tip of their tongue.
Yeah, and it's one of those, there's a couple that people seem to like a lot too, like if a pass is just out of somebody's reach, and again, it works in basketball, works in soccer. And I remember the first couple times, guys would get that look on their face like, when it just off their fingertips. And the first time I did it, I said, it looks like he's got too much mustard on his hot dog. And, just trying to relay the look on his face because I was doing it for radio. And, I had a positive reception to that on Twitter, so I kept doing that. So anytime something's just out of somebody's reach, I say, it's just a little too much mustard on the hot dog. So that one kind of resonates with people too. And then cakes on the griddle is one. Like when a play happens and the game's over. The backstory on that one, so I used to do games for Oakland with Mario Mpemba. Mario Mpemba was a great friend and a great mentor to me to this day. We're very, very close friends. And we had just played at West Virginia, and we were getting ready to go to Ohio University to play for Oakland. And so we had an off day in West Virginia, so it was a Saturday, and we went to the football game. West Virginia, I forget who they're, Syracuse or something like that they were playing. So we were sitting there in the crowd at West Virginia's football stadium. Well, they play John Denver between the third and the fourth quarter. And those people go hard about that.
John Denver.
John Denver, yeah.
Metallica maybe was, yeah. I mean, geez. Okay, fair enough. Plant a tree. Is that he did? Did he plant trees? Is that what he did?
Yeah. These fans at West Virginia, they go hard from it. And the music stops and they yell, cakes on the griddle, And,
I can only imagine being there.
I mean, they're electric for this. And Mario looks over at me and he goes, there's nothing like some cakes on the griddle, man. And I was like, no, there's not. So we played that next game in Ohio. And, we got up, I think, 7 points on them with like 30 seconds to go. Somebody hit a three or whatever, and the game was over. And I was the color commentator. Mario said, it's a big bucket, puts Oakland up 7 with 30 seconds. And I was like, Mario, the cakes are on the griddle now. And he falls out laughing. Like I gotta like mute his mic because he falls out laughing. And then that's how cakes on the griddle were born. So every time something happens and we know the game is over, to this day I've never been burned. Like I've never called it and it didn't work out. So knock on wood. But they're all like real life applications, real life stories.
I was gonna say, I mean, like, so Steve and I were doing a game here, and Steve is one of my color commentators here on the network, and we were at a game out in Grand Rapids, and there was a jersey number of 100. I've called 400 plus soccer games. I've never seen a triple digit number.
Really,
in
never
soccer.
seen that before?
Never,
Yeah.
never seen it. So during the course of the game, I just kind of. 100 scores a goal. So Mr. 100 scores a goal, right? I'm never going to have a chance to call Mr. 100 again in a broadcast because, there's not a lot of triple digits in soccer. Just not relatively, at least I can remember. But you said you've seen him before.
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, I've called I've called 8U games all the way up to MLS matches, so I've seen it all, done it all. That would be tight though to have it be 100. Keep it 100.
Yeah, it was. And then the next time we saw him, he was wearing 99. So it's like he went.
I don't think I've seen 100 either. Not
well, because most teams have a players of 25 players. Most rosters go to 1 to 25. I think right for the most part. Maybe the goalkeepers are 0 or double 0, right? So it's not common at all. But so we just talked about these moments and these catchphrases that you have, and obviously part of that is preparation, part of that is being in an environment and hearing something and going, hey, that makes sense, right? I mean, I'm thinking about what happened if you're in the Waffle House, what might come out, if you think about that. But the reality is there's a lot of prep work that goes into what you do, right? There's a lot of prep work. There's a lot of different things.
It's the hardest part,
and Dan and I we've experienced that, but I haven't called a game on ESPN2 like you have, and these major broadcast networks. But what is that process like for the viewer at home who has no idea what production meetings might take place, where you might call a game? There's a lot that goes into all this.
No, there is, and again, going back to it, and Detroit City fans have kind of been turned on to this. So with the USL, a lot of times for road matches, I'll go down to South Florida, and they have a studio in Dania Beach, and it's kind of like a similar setup to this with the green screen in there and everything like that. And I'll call Detroit City at 7 o'clock, the road match for the TV20 broadcast. I'll walk out of that door, go into the next studio, and I'll do El Paso and Orange County at 10. And then the next day I'll show up and I'll do 2 more games and stuff like that. So preparation's the hardest part of all this. And I don't know if you found it in the way you do games, Jonathan, but once the prep's done, then it's easy. Like all the weight's off my shoulders and things like that. So it's one of those things where, for me, building something from scratch, depending on the team, if it's a neutral broadcast that I haven't called the teams before. Now, the nice thing about the USL season and then college basketball ultimately in conference season, you play these teams twice. So when you do it the first time, all you have to do is kind of freshen up things the second time. So the prep time goes significantly down. You already know how to say everybody's names. You have the pronunciations. That's probably the toughest part of it all, is getting pronunciations.
100%.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of it. And then the second hardest part of it is, it's just putting, especially in soccer, obviously it's different. We're seeing it a little more European flavor in college basketball and stuff like that now. But it's one of those things. I took Italian in school, in college, so that actually helps a lot with the names, because we in America, there's 2 ways to say all the vowels. Over there's only one way. So that helps a ton. It does. It helps a ton.
It does.
Man. A, E, I, O, U. That's it. That's all the vowels right there. So it makes it a lot easier.
I was going to say, I mean, we've experienced the pronunciation thing quite a bit in our time. Because we're going to high schools, we have a lot of parents that feel like they can walk into the press box and tell us how to say a name. And so we've experienced that quite a bit. Now we have to lock the press box door. But pronunciation is the hardest, as you said, is the hardest part. And once you have a name stuck in your head, it is really hard to get it out. How to say it. I don't know if you feel that same way, but once you feel like you know it, and then someone comes and says you should change it, it's really hard for me. It's hard for me to get it out. Do you find like the same?
Oh, absolutely. There are some too that are similar to others. You do this long enough. There are some that are similar to others, and you called it before, so it's in your mind to try to say it that way. There's ones that are like a pronunciation guide. Will not help you in terms. And actually, my first MLS match I did was Colorado and Minnesota United. And Minnesota has a player, Hlongwane, that's his name. Luckily for me, and there was no way that you could get that off, even off the pronunciation guide, because you have to tuck your tongue up against the top of your mouth, Hlongwane. But breathe out the side of your tongue, if that makes any sense. To say it. Yeah, Hlongwane. And once you can do it, you can do it. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that name. But I had talked to their television announcer, and he kind of broke it down for me. If I didn't get a chance to run into him and talk with him, I never would have gotten that right. And like the biggest moment, on paper, the biggest moment of my soccer broadcasting career, I would have done it wrong the whole game, and it would have been bad because he played like 80 minutes. So, but in the end, it all worked out. There are some that are incredibly difficult, though.
There are, and I think there's some moments, at least during my broadcast career, where I'm hopeful that person doesn't ever step on the pitch.
Oh, absolutely.
Please do not step on. Oh, they're injured. Whew, thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one thing. I've been a writer for 30 years, but you get that call or email from parent. It's Sarah with an A A-H, not an A.
Yeah, and that's where it's different for you.
You're going through a stack of rosters like, no, it just says A here, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, this happened last night. We called out the top 15 teams from the state from the High School Soccer Coaches Association, and they gave us I got the list from them, and they got the list wrong. Like the South Line East is in Division 1 this year. They're not in D2, but yet they're ranked in D2.
Right. Because that's where they've been their first 15 years of existence.
Yeah, and that's too, like coming up through the ranks like that. That's where it sucks, because who's the idiot in that scenario? You are. It's not your fault.
No,
you can only go by what you're given.
Yeah,
but it's your fault.
Is.
You're the idiot in that scenario, and it's a no-win situation. Man.
To be fair, I've been an idiot since I was born.
Well,
so I don't
but I'm talking about this particular situation, Jonathan.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation on the other side of the break. But before we do, first off, we announced here earlier today that the Flint City Bucks will be coming to MSN. We're covering all home games for both the men and the women's sides here upcoming this summer, starting with their first matchup on May 27th. So that's going to be a first one there for us. Got a lot of information about that, but head to our website, MichiganSoccerNetwork.com, to learn more about that press release and so much more. But once again, it is Granite City. It's Burger Monday here on this Monday. You still have time. They don't close until 10. But $6 build your own burgers, $20 Granite City $10 Granite City pitchers, not 20. I've only been doing this for how long, Dan?
You did it last night.
It's the idiot in me. $6 growler fills and so much more. Tomorrow is Taco Tuesday, so don't forget about that. But either way, head over to Granite City at the corner of I-75 and 16 Mile in Troy, or at 7 Mile and Haggerty in Northville. We'll be back here on their side of the break. You're watching MSN Weekly, Michigan Stock Network.
Are you looking to grow here in 2023? Let the Michigan Soccer Network help you and your restaurant fill more seats. Help you and your law firm get new clients. Help you and your dental practice find more patients. Find more roofing customers for this upcoming summer. And to help you and your medical practice find new patients. To learn more or get started, visit MichiganSoccerNetwork.com. Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Base Camp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Base Camp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan. Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
Saying action. Go. And action. Hi, we're the Tilley Sisters. And check out, we're the Tilley Sisters. Check out our journey on the Michigan Soccer Network. You weren't looking Hi, we're the Tilley Sisters. And you can check out our journey on the Michigan Soccer Network. Do it around the, all right. I'll just go like this. All right. Oh, wait, what are we saying?
Welcome back here into our Premier Sports Center studio here in Shelby Township, Michigan. John Turner, Dan Stickrat, Neal Ruhl here on this Monday, March the 20th. It's a good show, I think, to start off with here, right? I think it's going pretty well. But what I want to get into here real quick before we start diving into more conversation here with Neal, get some, again, I call it the business end of what we have to do out of the way. Again, reminder that if you want to watch any of our shows, they're all on demand and they're free. They don't cost you any money. That's always the blessing in all this is free content. Our high school schedule release is coming up here this coming Friday. We'll release all the high school games for the entire season coming this Friday across the high school girls season. Got a good one coming up here on April the 4th. We'll get into that one on Thursday morning. But Base Camp Fitness Troy. My goodness, get maximum results in half the time. Base Camp Fitness Troy will open this month offering 35-minute high-intensity interval training or HIIT sessions for the whole body. Dan, we keep talking about this. We both need that, but none of us want to do this.
Thanks a lot, man. What are you insinuating?
Lock in the founders rate and scan that QR code on your screen now. Basecamp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big River Road. To inquire more about a membership or the amenities, call 586-416-1800. And they actually open here this upcoming Monday, March 27th. So, I have no interest in hitting the gym at all, though, because it just seems painful. 35 minutes of hell is what it sounds like. No?
It is. No, it is. Yeah.
I know. I just had physical therapy today. I know what hell's like.
And I know. I mean, I think that the reality is, I think a ton of people love to do that, and it's 35 minutes. We talked about this in the past about like something about Mary about in that car ride they're talking about with Ben Stiller, like, hey, 8-minute abs. So I'm going to do 7-minute abs. I'm going to do 7.
He's got a body wrapped up in his arms.
7-minute abs, everybody.
Abs, man.
But we're going to continue this conversation with Neal here. A broadcaster, recently nominated once again for the best sports broadcaster in Detroit by Our Magazine.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone goes into a career going, hey, I want an accolade or I want an award. But this is something pretty cool, right? I mean, being nominated.
Absolutely. But been lucky enough to win that award a couple times as our Detroit's best play-by-play person in Detroit. And it's wild to see your name with those other names because those other, like, your name doesn't belong. At least I'm like, wow, dude, like, your name doesn't belong with those people. Like Mickey Redmonds and like icons in this town. So it was pretty special. And look, you had a good line when we were talking before we went on air. You said it's kind of a testament to soccer, in this state and just how fast and how far soccer's come in this state. And a lot of reason is because of the Detroit City FC fans in that, and the Oakland fans as well, that go on and vote for me and stuff like that. And it is wild. And a lot of people say, well, it doesn't mean it meant a lot to me, man. Like it did. Like that was very, very deeply personal. Again, just to see your name on those lists and Ken Cal and I mean, it was absolutely wild, and I am very proud of that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very proud.
Well,
of that.
I mean, I think anyone in that would think that'd be proud. It's an unbelievable opportunity. I mean, you've been nominated many times now. You won it back in 2020, right? And so I mean, that's really cool. And you're right. Soccer in Michigan today, it's always been a staple, right? I remember when I was a kid, my family was interviewed by the Detroit Free Press because the city of Troy was considered like Soccer City USA. Most kids in the country were playing at that time. Obviously, it's expanded now quite a bit, but we were known for it. We had Soccer City Classic, a lot of great soccer teams out of high school, Troy Athens, Troy High, always competing for those the state championships and things like that. That's still true today, though, clearly. But it's true, and I think that tomorrow morning on the Morning Overlap, Steve Beska and I are going to be talking about the Northern Guard, right? Mm-hmm. One of probably the best and most controversial supporter groups probably in the country in the Northern Guard.
I never understood that.
I
never understood that.
Why?
Like, why is it controversial?
Well, I think controversy can come in a lot of different ways, and I don't think that I necessarily feel them as being controversial, but it seems like there's some polarization that goes along with supporter groups at different teams, and I feel like the Northern Guard has made it their own, like their own kind of thing that they do, which makes them who they are.
No, it's just something where they're passionate about their causes, right? And they'll let you know that they're passionate about the causes. And I've always talked about it too. They really open my eyes to a lot of the communities that are out there and things like that. Like I'll admit, when I started with Detroit City FC, 2015-ish, 2014-ish, whenever it was the first year that I started with them, I wasn't as familiar about the LGBTQ community. Those types, those types of communities that are out there, that they champion and they draw attention to and things like that. And I talk to people that are in those communities, and the stories about their lives and how horrifying, family members can be to them and things like that.
For sure.
That's real.
Oh, yeah.
And like everything they do. And they that's what makes me laugh about it. Like when they get criticism about stadium welfare and things like that.
Yeah.
They're very anti that. Corporate welfare, all that kind of stuff. Who's not? I mean, who's not? Look, go around to the different communities and take a poll of everybody that's there and say, I understand it. I understand why they're passionate about it. They seem, they're about the right things, and they're passionate about it. I guess that makes people, I know why, because it makes people uncomfortable about it. That's why.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think that the Northern Guard is very much ingrained in DCFC in that community, and I completely understand what you're saying. What I meant by my statement is that like there's just different things that have happened over the years that make it kind of like, and again, it's their thing. I think they've done a great job of promoting their organization in cooperation with DCFC, but they are very polarizing, I think, can be polarizing in how they maybe approach something, especially on Twitter. I feel like Twitter for them is like can be somewhat dangerous, but I think they're great. And to be fair, also, I don't know if the Northern Guard is your typical supporters group.
No, they're not.
Because they're very atypical. I think the average soccer fan probably does not know much about the Northern Guard, because I don't know if the actual Northern Guard are actual hardcore soccer fans to the extent that we might see at other levels. You know what I mean? In the sense of like they might not know the game as much as the next fan. I feel like they're just a really good group.
They don't understand the concept of supporter groups and the role that they have in soccer, which is one of the things that makes soccer so unique. I mean, just the level of support. And there are a ton of factors as to why, what I perceive to be the rise of soccer in America. And, Jonathan, to kind of change gears on it, like as we've seen soccer grow in this country, you know what I think it is? A lot of this, I think it's that it's over in 2 hours. And that clock runs the whole time. And when you plan your day, that match is on at 7 and it's going till 9, then it's over. Or it's on at noon and it's going till 2 and it's over.
Yeah.
It's not like baseball where it goes on forever. There's constant movement within the game. There's not quote unquote commercial breaks or things like that. Right. It's everything that sports fans say they want, right?
Yeah.
Everything that they complain about with baseball, that's what soccer is.
Yeah, there's no clock. There's no pitch clock in soccer.
No, your commercials are either on the lower right-hand part of the screen, or it's
a little bug that comes up. We got to do. No, you're right, and it's a different game, and I think that the way that like tailgating at a football game is completely different than that of tailgating at a soccer game. I mean, you don't see marches happening at a football game. I mean, and it's usually the drunk people walking into the stadium just all together. It's
right.
But it's different, and I've taken my kids to a DCFC a couple of times now, and the environment is one of the most electric environments that you can go into.
I've never said. I've never talked to anyone. It's like people will be, they'll reach out to me and they say, "Hey Neal, I want to get out there to a DCFC game." So they'll come out and they'll say, "Wow, like I've never been in an environment like that before," and that's going back to the thing about the Northern Guard. Like everything's organic. Like there's no corporately placed things or anything like that. Like everything is real. Like it's real and it's authentic. For better or for worse, depending on what side of the aisle that you're on as far as that goes. The Twitter stuff, like Twitter's not a real place. So
no,
like, I've never, it is like doing the stuff on Woodward Sports. You'll have people that'll tweet at me and be critical about an opinion I had or something like that, and they'll be like, "Wow, doesn't that upset you?" I'm like, "No, Twitter's not a real place." Like,
I can't disagree with that. I mean, and again, I think when I think of that environment. I've only been to one MLS game in my life because there's not an MLS team here in Michigan, and I don't really feel compelled to drive long distances to watch a soccer match. It's available on TV. But I did have a chance. We called the UPSL finals back in Columbus, Ohio at the old Columbus Crew Stadium back this past summer, and I had a chance to go and see a Columbus Crew game against New York, and I was very surprised at the level of which supporters in that large stadium and how they have their own section designated, just like at a DCFC game. Right? You go on that east side of the stadium. That is Northern Guard territory. Like if you're going to go for the first time, you might not want to park your kids in that section. You probably want to go across to the other side, right, and stay on the west side. But there's something to be said about supporter groups in this country in regards to these teams. It is unique, and it's awesome, and it really makes the game so much more electric, more fun when you have these supporter groups with these teams. And that's also why I think there's so much disdain for the MLS, because I think the Northern Guard and the supporters for DCFC will recognize that it's going to be hard to keep their identity if they were to go to an MLS team. That's
some of the things they're fearful of, no question.
You don't want to lose your identity. You want to be able to. And again, I mean, I think that Michigan is craving an MLS team. I really do think so. And
it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, we've tried many, many times, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, and nothing to do with Detroit City FC, but just in regards to this. I think Michigan is craving an MLS team. Very much so. And again, there's been conversation about DCFC never making that step, but I feel like they might be compelled at some point in time. But would you think Michigan is craving an MLS team?
I mean, the common sports fan, that's not necessarily well-versed in soccer, like the common Detroit sports fan, maybe they say that. I've heard that tossed around town before where, well, it's got to be like the highest level or anything like that. And I see what they're saying there. But I know that I called DCFC Columbus Crew when DCFC beat the Crew in the U.S. Open Cup.
Yep.
And that was every bit MLS as any MLS match has ever been. But the MLS team lost. That was electric. That place was last night or that night. And for me, if you don't know soccer, what was the difference? Like an MLS team lost. There was a striker on the field for Columbus made $1 million a year.
Zardis, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
$1.3 million a year he made out there on that pitch, and he took the L. That's, what I'm saying? That's as MLS or as, quote, high level as you're going to get out there. And, here's the thing, right, is this is where you get into corporate money and all that kind of stuff. Like craving an MLS team, well, it's not going to happen until somebody corporate somewhere says that it's going to happen. That's just the way that it works. So real estate grabs and all those types of things, I mean, that's the waters that you're swimming in with the MLS. Again, with Detroit City, everything's as real as it was the first day that I ever worked for the club.
Yeah.
Everything's still the same. The issues are still the same. They speak out against the stuff. It's all the same. Like the fight continues and all that. So, maybe an uninformed soccer fan, maybe that's their take. But anybody who's ever set foot in that stadium, in Keyworth Stadium, you've gotten the highest level soccer experience that you're going to get in American sports. You are in American soccer. You are. I mean, I'll put that atmosphere up against any atmosphere in the country, anywhere.
It's such a quaint atmosphere.
Well, it is.
I love it.
It's the intimacy of the and I say there's 7,000 fans all screaming and supporting for the one. I mean, it really is. And I think again, Detroit City has been the winningest franchise in Detroit now for the last half decade.
Right.
Right. I mean, they've done phenomenal. The only one winning championships has been them. And as they continue to grow as an organization, I would like to expect that hey, maybe there'll be some additional opportunities for more fans to attend a game. Maybe and maybe they can grow Hamtramck, the Keyworth Stadium, because Keyworth's a really cool stadium. It really is. It's got that historical aspect to it. The food trucks and everything that you do that goes on in that environment. The press box is quite small, so I'm wondering how everybody fits in.
But that's fine. I mean, they played at Cass Tech before.
Yeah.
And, the press box there wasn't, it wasn't like some, modern masterpiece either. You know what I'm saying? Like press boxes, that's like media stuff. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the media stuff. We call the game matches in there. It's fine. I like it in there. It's fine.
So do you guys, because there's three spots. There's the far side. There's two basically media areas, and then there's the middle. Do you guys call the game from the middle or the far left?
We are in the middle.
You're in the middle, okay? Because the view vantage point in the middle is fantastic, but there's a spot on the left that you wouldn't be able to see anything if you were in that spot.
Yeah, like corner kicks and stuff like that. I have to kind of check those out on the monitor, but it's fine.
Well, cool. Well, we are talking to the broadcast. It's good to ask those questions. I'm just curious how they cram everybody into those environments on game day. But what we're going to do is we're going to step aside here for another break here. But before we do, let's talk here about the Windermere Hotel. If you haven't been to the Windermere, well, you have to. Okay, the Windermere Hotel, located on Mackinac Island, we are giving away a one-night stay.
Oh.
A one-night stay on the historic Mackinac Island. Opening weekend on May the 12th. That's right. They're giving away a one-night stay on Friday, May 12th. Here, it's all provided by MSN, which is fantastic. All you got to do is be 18. Subscribe to MSN on YouTube and follow us on social media. And there's a form on our website. Right on the homepage, all you got to do is fill out the form, and guess what will happen? We enter the drawing. The drawing will take place on the 28th of April. 28th of April. At one of our soccer games that we're doing. So we'll do it right in the middle of the broadcast. So that's how you win a one-night stay at the Windermere Hotel. Fantastic stuff. But before we head to break, it's FC Barca is coming to Michigan here July 3rd through July 7th. That's right. The FC Barcelona Soccer Camp is an exclusive opportunity to learn the mythologies of the unique Barca style. FC Barcelona coaches will arrive across the United States to conduct the training sessions and teach you the techniques of one of the most successful soccer academies in the world. They're coming to Brighton Legacy Sports Center this July 3rd through the 7th. And guess what? FCBMSN is a promo code to save $30 off registration. So you can scan that QR code right now to start saving. We'll be back here on MSN Weekly on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
Clubs love Ollie because it helps them manage their club and accelerate the development of their coaches and players. Every soccer club talks about their focus on development, but nobody actually measures it until now. We've developed the capability for every one of your teams to easily capture pro-level game stats in real time using a mobile phone. It's one thing at the end of the day to look up the results for your club, but how valuable would it be for directors to actually see how each team played? How well did a team possess the ball and control the game? How well did they create dangerous chances inside the box? How did your top players perform? And how is each coach improving from week to week? Ollie provides this powerful data through a club dashboard that shows club results and lets you drill down into any game or player. Ollie also includes team and club management that lets you communicate instantly with coaches, parents, and players, and lets directors see every club event so they can easily coordinate visits to matches and training sessions. It's got everything you need in one simple app. Reach out to us to get your club started today.
We're going to try and win this thing. We're going to go for it, right? You're watching your team, you're watching them play, you're watching them practice. Is this a team you thought at the beginning of the year was going to be there at the end?
Yes. And honestly, I told my team this, and I told a lot of people this. It wasn't unexpected. I think we have a top program. I was actually pretty disappointed that we hadn't won one up until now. I think we've had some great years before, 2016, 2017, 18, even 21. 19. I mean, where things just didn't click. They didn't work out for us at the end of the season, where we had great seasons and didn't work out. But this year, everything came together, and to be honest, it wasn't unexpected.
Okay. No, and that's good. I mean, you think about it. You said there's lots of times you watch, and we had Todd Hugh here a few weeks ago, and there was a year that his team did not make it all the way to a state final, and that was the team that he said was the better team that he thought was going to go. And then when they won it, and maybe not been the better team he had, but that's sometimes how it shakes out. Pay attention. Well, welcome back here in the Premier Sports Center studio.
We're just chopping it up.
I know. Yeah. We almost have to have like that thing they do on like Comedy Central or the Daily Show, like the in between. I don't know what they call that segment. There's a segment they call it, but like in between the breaks. But anyways, welcome back here in the Premier Sports Center studio. It's MSN Weekly. Dan Stickrat, John Turner, Neal Ruhl. Continue this conversation about broadcasting. Before we do that, we got another readout here. This is a good one. Georgia's Soccer Supply is obviously, I think, is one of the best soccer stores in Michigan. I went there growing up as a kid. We talk about that quite a bit. But either way, Georgia Soccer Supply has been around since 1978. That's right, 1978. Their name has stood the test of time, and they are it's rewarding to see the former players and parents coming in to buy soccer supplies for their kids. Scan the QR code on your screen, visit georgiasoccer.com, or call 248-528-2948 and save 10% off your next order.
I wonder if that's the oldest soccer store in Michigan. I'd have to think it probably is.
I don't know if that's something I can Google or not. That might not be a Google search thing.
Ask George.
Yeah, we have to ask. Well, Ralph runs it now.
Ralph.
Yeah,
ask Ralph.
Yeah. But 1978, so they are the premier old school soccer supply stores. So why go to Dick's when you can buy it right from the source, Georgia Soccer Supply? But either way, as we continue this conversation here, and there were a question coming in here during the break. What is the biggest challenge you've had while broadcasting games?
Going back when we were talking about pronunciations, I remember one college game I did, Division I college game. The other team, I forget which school it was, or else I'd out them, but I don't remember which one it was. The other team didn't have numbers on their kits. That made it a little difficult to call them, but our team did, so I just talked about our team the whole match.
Well, that is a difficult one. We talk about this a lot, and because I oftentimes say I'm envious of you or a broadcaster that has access to all of the information that you could want to do a game, because the games that we do on the network, the high school games, which is what our focus has always kind of been, we want to shine a light on soccer in Michigan, right? And that means that, hey, the levels of soccer that you want to shine a light on, the MLS next, the ECNL games, the youth matches that we cover, the high school games, they don't always have, that information. Some schools better than most or better than others, but a lot of times we're stuck with nothing. And you don't even know how to pronounce a player's name because you're given the name 4 minutes before the start of a broadcast. It's real. I would say it's not simple, but it makes things a lot easier when you have 24, 48, 72 a week notice about a team or a player. And for the most part, at the higher levels, there's not a lot of roster moves that take place. Roster moves happen, but they don't happen a lot at the
and there's
higher
a
levels.
press release about them, so
so
let you know, and those types of things.
Here, a JV, you have 3 players go down with ACL injuries, and now you're bringing up 3 JV players who you don't have any information about them, or the amateur teams where they literally are rostering players the same day. It gets quite crazy. So so Steve, who asked this question, who's normally sitting next to me, on Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings, we can attest to this. We know what it's like to have no information.
Right.
And obviously, like you said, not having a number on a jersey, that is pretty wild. Like as far as other challenges go, I would say like multiple match days. I told that story earlier. We'll call 2 matches in a day. Those days get kind of long, especially at the end. It helps if the match is good. That helps get you through, obviously. But if it's a less than match, we'll just say it like that. There's not really a lot going on. It's just kind of, as I like to say sometimes, table tennis over the midfield line. Those are hard. Those are hard to stay engaged with, and those types of things, because the audience is responsive to my energy. Right? That's sure. I dictate whether or not they're enjoying the broadcast experience. Aside from like if their team's winning or if their team's losing or whatever, we're human beings, right? We feed off the energy that we're given. So, just making sure that your energy stays up. And I always like to say, we were talking about this before we went on the air too, because you asked about doing like national matches where, it's 2 neutral teams that you don't necessarily call all the time or anything like that. For me, it's always been pretty simple because I could be doing mortgages instead of doing this. And I think about that. Guys, I'm not kidding you. I think about that every single time a producer counts in my ear. It's cliche, and it's that sounds like an Instagram thing, but it's not. It's real. I genuinely go back to that before I go on the air, 30 seconds before I go on the air. I'm like, man, this is it. Like this is why we've done all this. This is why we've gone through all this. We're where we want to be. So keep it pushing, and that's what I do. No, it's a great point. it's awesome to hear that too, because I think the person at home right now who's never thought about, what it takes to be a broadcaster or even wants to be one themselves, that moment, right? When I first started doing this, a friend called me and said, "Hey, would you, come out and bring your equipment out and call a game?" And I was like, sure. So I grabbed my 27-inch iMac computer and this microphone set up and went out to do a game, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then over time, I kind of learned the nuances of how to, figure this whole thing out. And then that first time I called the game in Oakland where someone is saying in your ear, counting down, 10, 9, 8, and you're like, oh, crap, this is about to be real, right? I mean, because there's a big difference between having someone in your ear and you're just kind of on your own. For example, you call Flint City Bucks games. Mm-hmm. Right. And Flint City Bucks, there's not a producer in your ear at Flint City, right? But there is, I'm assuming, with DCFC, calling down things. There's a difference. And sometimes it's almost like, hey, I need that guy going, oh, yeah, we're about to go live. Otherwise, you're kind of like, what's going on here? And there's a big difference there.
Yeah. And then there's the other things, too, right? Like, I being the face of when there's a mistake made, you're going to get the blame for it. And on the flip side of the coin, when somebody does make a mistake, I try to do whatever I can do to cover up for them. Those are things that I could do where if the camera shot doesn't, where they call for a camera shot and it lags and it doesn't quite get there or whatever like that, then you have to kind of keep expanding the point and keep discussing it till the camera angle is able to catch up. So you kind of draw things out like you're drawing it out right now. And, you let everybody play catch up. I do feel that like sense of camaraderie with the crew to where, I don't want them to be outed for mistakes. If there's something I can do to cover up for it, I will. Like you try to be a good teammate and stuff like that. And when mistakes happen, you're going to get the blame, and when things go well, you're going to get the praise. And I didn't have a lot to do with either of them. But yeah, that's the way that it works. When you're the face or you're the voice of it, it's all on you, right or wrong. It's all on you. But that's the way that it is.
What was it like when you did your very first game? Like, where was it? What level? Which sport? I mean. It was college, doing college radio at Oakland University. And I actually just came from Oakland University. I was speaking to the journalism class there today. And I was telling them how, when I look back on that, because that was back before like the student radio station had commercials. So they would throw it to me at 7 o'clock and I held it until 9, like through halftime.
Carrying the whole broadcast.
Through halftime. Through every commercial, quote unquote media timeout, all that stuff. I was talking for 2 hours. We were going. And I literally can be dropped in any situation now and not be fearful because I've done it. Like I've walked that tightrope before, and I haven't had commercials to save me or to get a break or anything like that. Like it was just me. I'm grateful for that, like looking back on it. Because a lot of these big time dudes that go to Syracuse and stuff like that, no disrespect to the Syracuse folks out there, but the big time broadcasters that go to Syracuse and everything's like professionally run from the time they're in college, they don't know what that's like. They've never had to go through that before. So, it's something for me that I'm glad I went through that, because something could happen right now and we would have to carry it and it wouldn't be a problem.
No, I was going to say, I mean, and they probably don't have to deal with like a doubleheader baseball game in March with 36 degrees outside, and and trying to figure out how to just stay warm in, in the doubleheader. Like we did a game in the fall for Oakland, and I think the wind, it was like a 40-mile-an-hour wind, through that press box.
It's brutal, and the fields there at Oakland too are kind of like in the bottom of like bowls that become kind of wind tunnels. Where it circulates around, so it's even extra. If it's 10-mile-an-hour winds, it's 20-mile-an-hour winds down there. So yeah, it's challenging. It's a challenging environment to say the least.
Yeah, they got that gray stanchion where you guys are up top there, and they got the little portable trailer next door. But
they're enclosed.
The elements. Yeah, the sides are enclosed, but they still have that wind coming in the front.
Right. I think I'd rather be in that little thing though than up on that stand. But each their own. No, but we talk about challenges, and it's a great question, Steve. About what the biggest challenges. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. I mean, as you said, carrying a broadcast, because hey, there might be a situation where instant replay doesn't work, and you're supposed here comes and it doesn't work properly, or whatever the case might be. You have to, in those moments, figure out a way to overcome them, right? And
on the spot too, and knowing that if you right, like it's a foreign situation to you that you just got dropped into. But if you stutter or if you got a double clutch or things like that, people say, what's wrong with this? This guy really sucks at this. And it's not your fault. You were just kind of thrown into it, but you got to deal with it, man. Like there's no other alternative.
Well, the other side of this too is
obviously, I think for the most part, you're known as a play-by-play guy. Right. That's kind of what you're known for. But being thrown into an analyst role too, right? You can do that because you were an analyst for Mpemba. We talked about that. You mentioned that. A lot of play-by-play people cannot do analyst work. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I never played the game at professional level or Division I college level or anything like that. So I get that maybe I wouldn't carry the credibility. But sports, basketball, people ask me all the time, like kind of cross examination of soccer and basketball and baseball and all that kind of stuff. It's all the same. It's all geometry based. If you're defending, the middle of the pitch or the middle of the field is bad. You don't want the other team in the middle of the field. You want them out on the wings. Conversely, if you're on offense, the middle of the field, that's the prime real estate. That's the Royal Oak down there on Main Street. Like, that's where you want to be because it's geometry. It's all angles. Your angles of attack to the goal, your angles of attack to the basket, using sidelines as a defender, all that kind of stuff. If you approach it with that mindset that it is just geometry, that's all sports are. It's angles of attack. That's it. Now, if you're mercurial, the angles don't matter and you can still attack, but there's not a lot of those type of players out there. So a lot of Division I high-level players, they're still at the mercy of geometry. So if you get that basic understanding, you can do it.
Yeah, but, working in broadcasting or a writer for myself, he's been a referee, but you're around sports. Over time, you get a chance to gain a really good general knowledge of a lot of different sports. I'm sure you've done several outside basketball and soccer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, this is probably bad, but whatever. We're here. I'll do it. I'll tell you where it's bad working in sports is when you're at your kids' games. Yeah. And the parents, like your kid's like the shortest kid out there, like it's not, it's probably not going to happen. So just like tone it down and just enjoy that he's out there playing, that he likes playing, like it's not the time to jump on the ref or jump on the coach that are out there volunteering and all that kind of stuff. Like, trust me, I'm around elite level athletes, like I called Kyrie Irving, saw him drop 40 points last month. Your kid ain't that, so just pipe down and let's keep it moving here. Remember, it's about the kids.
Sometimes parents, they'll start talking to your ear, and it's like you look at them, it's like, are you that delusional?
I know.
Your kid's not going D1. I'm sorry, you may think they are, but they're never going to play D1 sports.
Yeah,
he's 5 foot. He's 5 foot 6.
Don't say never. Okay. That's offensive.
Yeah.
Don't say never. Okay. Say possible.
I'm gonna go sit in my corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where it hurts, like being around elite level athletes when you're around youth sports and see the parents acting the fool and stuff like that. So that's
you guys ever sit around and like do play-by-play for your kids just on the side for fun?
No, I don't know.
No. I actually did that once at a basketball game for my daughter, and she said I haven't lived it down yet. I can't.
Bad idea.
Evolution Sports. So Evolution Sports Training. Join Evolution Soccer Training for finishing Fridays every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. Players will receive specialized training dedicated to enhancing your ability to score goals. Visit evolutionperformancetraining.com and use promo code MSN10 to get 10% off your training. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap up the show on the other side of the break. MSN Weekly, live right now on the Michigan Soccer Network. We'll be right back.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. We help players develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills, receiving and finishing from different situations such as volleys, headers, one touch, and off the dribble, with and without pressure. In addition, we help players increase their speed of play, dominate with their off-the-ball movement, awareness of space, defenders, and teammates. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, as well as large groups and team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country. We've also developed one of the most detail-oriented training programs to help out players. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. For more information, visit our website, evolutionperformancetraining.com, or text or call 248-818-3943.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
Hey, give me some of it. Okay, all right, I'm going. The Journey, the Tilton Girls, take one.
My favorite moments ever as a father was the moment she made the A-team.
They would always push me and my friends as well.
Their authenticity and integrity that they were able to do everything with.
I still struggle with a little bit, just like the confidence, like knowing that I'm in a different environment.
Could not be more proud of you, Justice, and of you, Remini.
It's gonna be a roast here. No, it's not a roast. And it was hard. Don't tell anybody that. And action.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
To do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do. We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not. We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club.
Join today, starting at just $24.99 a month.
And welcome back here into our Premier Sports Center studio, Shelby Township, Michigan. Dan Stickred, John Turner, Neal Ruhl. We are in the home stretch here of MSN Weekly. Before we finalize, it's our last readout here of the evening. Ollie Live Sports is our official stat tracker for the upcoming girls' high school season. The youth sports culture is toxic because we only measure success by wins and losses. 70% of kids quit playing by age 13 as a result. Ollie Sports is changing the youth sports experience with meaningful, positive data for every player in every game. Scan the QR code or head to the Apple or Google Play Store and download the app today for free. And it's a really cool app, actually. You actually have your iPhone or your Google Android. I'm sorry, your Apple phone. That's what I used. Whatever. But your Apple phone in your hand, and you just type away on your phone and move players around. It tracks the possession, passing percentage. It's really kind of a cool app. So take a look at it and download it today. And we'll be using it this upcoming year in our press boxes as we call these games. So we're in the home stretch here. It's 8:55 here on this Monday evening. And if you just mentioned you were at Oakland giving some journalism students some much needed, I'm sure, advice about the real world of broadcasting. What is your advice to any broadcaster out there about whatever that might be? You have the floor.
Your network is what's going to determine how you advance. This business is very much timing based. I happened to be at Oakland when they left the Summit League and went to the Horizon League. The Horizon League had a deal with ESPN, so all the matches and games and everything like that had to be televised. ESPN, that was part of the agreement to be a member in the league, so they needed somebody to do it. So I walked into a great situation there at Oakland. And timing and your network, those are the two things. I mean, as I said to the journalism class, I said, look, your GPA doesn't matter. I know your teacher doesn't want to hear that. Don't listen. Your GPA doesn't matter. What have you done? What can you do? And as far as it goes, you will go as far as your network takes you and the people that you're with and the people that are in your circle and the people that can trust you. That's it. That is it. Who can trust you? Period. End of story. That'll determine your opportunities and how far you go. Like we hear it in sports all the time. And when I say that, everyone kind of hangs on that all the time, especially when I'm in the classes. I'm like, I'll say, how many of you are sports fans? And 85% of the students will raise their hands. Then you're quite familiar with it. What happens when a new president is hired or a new coach gets hired? What happens to the people that were there? They're gone.
Yeah.
Who comes in? The people that guy trusts to roll in there because his ass is on the line. Like, it's the job. His job is on the line. So he's going to go with the people that he trusts. It's no different. Corporate America is no different. Any store that's around here is no different. They were going to go with the people they trust, and you have to have a strong network or you don't have a chance. And you better be hella lucky too.
Yeah. I want to see some red cards. So Cerebus is a comic. I want to see some red cards. That's a familiar fan of ours when we call high school games. Always have the red card in the games that we call. But it's a great point. And to be fair, I think also be willing to put yourself out there is another piece. If I were to say anything to a journalism class, I've never been asked. But if it ever don't be willing to say yes to things that maybe and get uncomfortable, because I think if you're willing to do some things too, that might put you in a position where you can be trusted to show up.
Well, and that's it too. I tell the story in the decade plus I've been doing this. Obviously, I've been asked. I've worked at a lot of different networks, done a lot of different things. So obviously, I've been asked to do a lot, to do a lot of events, to do all that. I've said no once in 13 years. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, was, my wife was going to have a C-section, so my daughter was scheduled to be born the following Monday. And I said, no, I can't do it. Obviously, I'm going to have my daughter. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, obviously, we understand that. But then my daughter ended up coming early, 5 days early. So I could have made it. If I would have said yes, I still would have got there.
Wow.
So lesson learned. No, but anytime somebody asks me to do something, the answer is always yes, no matter what. Like a cousin's birthday in Royal Oak or some stupid-ish like that doesn't compute with me. And if that's a problem for the people that are around me, then I don't know what to tell you, because this is what we're chasing and this is what we're going to run down. So, you're absolutely right, John. Like you have to say yes. There is no I'm tired, or I was going to go out with my sister that day. There's none of that. You want it or no? Like if you want to do it, you're going to do this, and if not, then that's fine. Then you won't be in my way, because I'm saying yes.
Yeah, because I remember years ago I was working for a company and we had an intern, and he knew basketball and football, like high school and college, and they wanted to send him to a baseball game. He didn't want to go.
Like that's wild to me.
We covered 25, 30 different sports at the high school and college level. You gotta have a basic knowledge in all of them, because if you're going to work for a newspaper or network, chances are you're gonna be covering everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you talk about the GPA thing. I remember when I was at Oakland back in the mid-90s, they would be like, "You got any clips? Can you hold a camera?
What have you done? What have you done?
Can you hold a camera? Can you edit? Can you do a headline? Because they don't care about you." I never was once asked about my GPA.
No, never. Doesn't, especially in this line of work. It just doesn't matter.
Well, I think you mentioned that you said I think you said like production. You did some production stuff for Oakland, right? As you said, I think early in the broadcast, and understanding how this all works, like what I am doing right now to run this. I mean, most of your play-by-play analysts might not have any clue how to do any of this broadcasting stuff, right? And so, like, automatically, like, when I go to do anything, someone's now asking me, like, well, how do you do this? Well, because I've literally self-taught myself. These aren't things I didn't,
But when I got the gig with Oakland to be like a color commentator engineer, they were like, can you do this? And I was like, yeah. Full disclosure, I didn't know what to do at the time. I can tell you guys that now, because it all worked out. I didn't know, but that became my life for the next 2 weeks. That was my life. Like every minute that I wasn't working, delivering pizzas or whatever, I was messing around with that audio equipment and figuring out the ins and outs to it, and knowing what to do and how to deal with it.
But we're all learning something new every day. I mean, when I started, pretty much a writer. Maybe some of us took photos, but now there's podcasts. There's a lot of different things. The internet wasn't around when I was in college back in the early to mid '90s. There's so much more out there now. People going, you mentioned you were at a journalism class before you came here. There's just so much more opportunity, different things than just sitting down in front of a keyboard and writing a story.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And that's and I even talked to them about, like, your newspaper days, those are over. If you want to write and do that kind of stuff, you're working in PR for a company now. That's just the way that it is. Like, I'm not telling you that it's good or it's bad. I'm just telling you what is.
No, and it's spot on, and I that's something that I think was instilled in me by my dad and my parents was, like you mentioned, and I talked about this, saying yes, being willing to do something more than the next person, because that is where the trust is going to come in, especially in this type of a business, right? The moment I say no to something, is that somebody else is going to say yes, and now that person might step in front of me, and that takes away the opportunity that I've been working so hard to get.
Now you're counting on them to say no before you get the opportunity to say yes again. I mean, it's simple math.
Yeah, because I have there's only been one time at Oakland, for example, where I couldn't do it, and that's just recently. I'm going to California for a trip, and I just literally not going to be in the area. But aside from that, I think it'll be the same cold weather, though California is pretty cold right now, I guess. So I'm not maybe the same weather here in Michigan as in California, but that's the only time I've been able to say no, and it's because I'm on a vacation, unfortunately. But to each their own. So
absolutely.
So we're gonna have you, since you have some catchphrases that would go well right about now. We are at what point in the show where we're basically, it's over. What would you say to something like that, Neal, to end the show?
Well, I'd say, the cakes are on the griddle, and it's Michigan Soccer Network. Well, see you later.
Yes. Well, I got to just wrap this up. Want to remind everybody that we will be available on live stream. Sorry, not live stream. All listing platforms here tomorrow morning when I get in the studio to wrap everything up. And then we'll be live at 10 a.m. tomorrow with the morning overlap right here again. 10 a.m. as we talk about the Northern Guard. We're going to be talking about the supporter group in Detroit City FC. Their first home game coming up here this Saturday against Indy 11, who's looking to build $1 billion stadium in their city. Think about that. USL Championship team building $1 billion stadium in our whole campus. That seems pretty amazing for a USL Championship team. But
ESPN Plus and TV20 as well.
That's right. ESPN Plus and TV20. Neal Ruhl on the call.
Absolutely.
Right? So, but that'll do it from us here in our Premier Sports Center studio, MSN Weekly. Neal, thank you very much. Dan, my name's John Turner, and we'll see you next time here on MSN Weekly. Have a good night.